Would any of you advise a client to defy a federal court order?
Welcome back to the Constitution Corner, where we break down everything that matters to we the people. If you believe in limited government, personal liberty, and defending our Constitution against activist judges and radical academics, you're in the right place. Before we get started, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. This channel exists because you care about our republic, and we're here to fight for it together.
No.
None of you would? How about you, Professor?
I mean, under most circumstances, we follow the government and private parties follow court orders. I suppose it's not, I would not rule out ever the possibility that in a sufficiently egregious order, there should be some consideration of whether there's a way.
So in some cases,
I think it's a qualified answer, yes.
In some cases you would.
In an extremely narrow band of cases, I think it would be considered, yes.
Okay. Do any of you think that nationwide or universal injunctions are not being abused?
I'm not sure what if I may, Senator, I'm not sure what the time horizon of the question is. I don't think that there could be good faith disagreements about the correctness of some of them, but I have not seen in the last 4 months abuse. No.
I've read your stuff and I've read your writings. I don't want to get bogged down with this, but I have little respect for your opinion because I've read your stuff. When someone is in the White House that you agree with and someone gets a universal injunction against him, you don't like universal injunctions. You called them judges acting like they're politicians in robes and judges looking like crass political actors. But now that President Trump's in the White House, who you dislike, you think that universal injunctions taste like pumpkin pie. So I have to discount what you say because I think you act on your political beliefs. And I worry that that's what you're teaching your kids. So I'll leave you out of that. Do you think nationwide injunctions are being abused?
Certainly, Senator. I think that is.
They're being abused by both sides, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
Both Republicans and Democrats are forum shopping, aren't they?
Certainly.
Professor, do you disagree with that?
I think both sides are abusing them. I agree.
Okay. Both sides.
Yeah.
There are no clean hands here. Now, your suggestion is that when a federal judge issues a nationwide injunction, there should be an automatic stay and an expedited right of appeal. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you disagree with that?
I haven't given enough thought to have a position on it, Senator.
I suspect, Professor, your answer will be it depends on who's president.
No, Senator.
Let me ask you about this. What if we had a rule? I was reading an article the other day. I'm not suggesting it. I just want your opinions. That said, if a president, any president, issues an executive order, let's say, that clearly violates settled Supreme Court precedent, that a federal judge can't issue a nationwide injunction. For example, if a federal a president issued an order that said no one in America has right to counsel any longer, including but not limited to, in a felony case, having the government pay for your lawyer if you can't afford it. That clearly violates settled Gideon v. Wainwright. In that case, a judge has no authority or does have authority to issue a nationwide injunction. But in a case that where the law is unclear, a judge should refrain from that. Now, obviously, we'd have to trust our judges, but we're supposed to be able to trust them anyway. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with that, Senator, because I think universal injunctions transgress the limitations under Article 3, even if the underlying merits are clear.
I happen to agree with you. I don't think there's any basis under Article 3, under Supreme Court precedent, under the English common law for nationwide injunctions. I think politicians have helped judges, and many judges are politicians, to just make it up. And many of them are like Professor Shaw here. If they like the president, they're against nationwide injunctions. If they don't like the president, they're for him. Professor, let me ask you this while I have you. On April 22nd, 2024, you said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil. Which justices were you talking about?
I'll take your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word, but.
All right, here's what you said. You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about?
Sir, I'm very skeptical. If there's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I do not think I said.
No, you said it. Why don't you own up to it? Which you call some of the members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical of some members of the Supreme Court.
You're embarrassed that you made that statement, aren't you?
I'm
You're an officer
Senator, it doesn't
of the court.
sound like something that I would say.
You know what I'm embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil in the classroom,
on
sir.
Your podcast, April 22nd, 2024.
Okay, well,
big as Dallas. And you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful to federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon. You're part of what's the problem in all of this.
Today we're reacting to a deeply concerning Senate hearing clip. What you're about to see is what happens when judicial activism, elitist hypocrisy, and academic arrogance collide. It's an interaction between U.S. senators and so-called legal experts. And folks, I'm fired up. Let's walk through this line by line. The clip opens with a question that should be simple. Would any of you advise a client to defy a federal court order? And of course the answer is no, until one professor starts to hedge. He says, in an extremely narrow band of cases, it might be considered. Now let me tell you something. That's a red flag. The rule of law is not something you apply based on your feelings about a case. The courts exist to interpret the law, not to make policy or act on partisan whims. But this professor? He's already signaling that sometimes, maybe if it suits your ideology, it's okay to defy a lawful order. That's dangerous. That's lawlessness dressed in a bow tie. Next, the senator asks whether nationwide injunctions are being abused. And you know what? He's right to ask. Because for years now, federal district judges, unelected, unaccountable judges, have issued sweeping nationwide rulings halting presidential actions they disagree with. That's not their job. And when the senator calls out the rank hypocrisy of these legal scholars, how they hate nationwide injunctions when a Democrat is in the White House but suddenly love them when Trump's in office, it's spot on. I read these professors' work too. I've seen it firsthand. When Trump was issuing executive orders to protect our borders, rein in bureaucracy, and defend American workers, these same legal elites were screaming about judicial overreach, when one judge stopped those orders in all 50 states. But when Biden signs an executive order erasing student debt without congressional approval, crickets. Or worse, cheering from the same ivory tower. This is about power, not principle. And the senator's proposal, that there should be an automatic stay and expedited appeal when a federal judge issues a nationwide injunction, is common sense. We cannot let one judge with an agenda halt the will of the American people expressed through their elected president. Not Trump. Not Biden. Not anyone. That's not how our republic works. Then we get to the heart of it. The senator calls out the professor for calling Supreme Court justices evil. and the professor tries to deny it, says it was a mistake, a transcription error. But then the senator reads back his own words to him. Quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Evil colleagues. Let that sink in. This man, this professor who trains our future lawyers, who wants to lecture us about respecting the judiciary, is calling the highest court in the land evil because he disagrees with the outcome of a decision. And he's teaching your kids. He's shaping future judges. He's influencing the legal system. This is the rot we've been warning about. The left doesn't want justice. They want control. And when they don't get their way through elections, they use the courts, the bureaucracy, and the universities to shove their agenda down our throats. This is why we fight. This is why we vote. This is why the Constitution Corner exists. We need judges who follow the law, not rewrite it. We need professors who teach constitutional principles, not political hatred. And we need you, the American citizen, to stand up and say enough. So here's what you can do. Share this video. People need to see the double standards and the danger of unaccountable elites. Call your senators. Demand judicial reform, especially around nationwide injunctions. Stay informed. We'll keep bringing you the truth they won't. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. Are nationwide injunctions being abused? Do you trust federal judges to stay in their lane? Or is this just another example of the left using the courts to grab power? We are the Constitution Corner, where Americans' root guides its future. Until next time, stand strong, speak truth, and may God bless the United States of America.